for the farmers who are working on these saline soils to produce, so that any technology that is given them in how to call it, managing salinity, then they adopt them. We have a farmer group that is located in one of these saline soil area. And these farmers, because they have a market for their produce, vegetable produce, for the Lomé market as well as the Accra market, they are intensifying production of vegetables on these saline soils. After raising the beds, using fresh water to flush out the salt, they go out to look for whether it is poultry manure, mineral fertilizer. They can travel anywhere and then apply these things. And then you see that even though they are working on marginal soils, saline soil, they are producing a lot, and even more than those who are on ordinary good soils. You see, so it's a farmer attitude. If a farmer has a positive attitude, he can always adopt technology. If the local capacity is built, is developed, especially the smallholder farmers, to identify good, they can easily use these saline soils productively. In some areas, where the positive attitude is not there, they expect government to come and clean up the drains and then manage all the drains. So they are there. They don't care about anything. You see, but at areas where there is that positive attitude and then local capacity development exists, they are able to manage these saline soils to become very productive and then with targeted markets for profits. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I will ask maybe somebody in the audience if you have a question for our panelists, or somebody following us on the directly on online. So if you have any questions, there is anybody? Okay, go ahead, please.
My question is to Dr. Shiva Raju. How much hectare area salt affected can be expected in 2050? Why I'm asking this question is, we see the figure of increasing and increasing. Mm-hmm. And we have very good record of monitoring. Mm-hmm. We can say that this much is the area under saline, under this continent, that continent. Those kind of data are available. When I'm working in soil salinity from, let's say, from around 2008, almost like more than 10 years, we also developed several technologies like conservation agriculture works, draining works, many things, alternative crops works. We have technologies. For me, several things are there. But maybe as we discussed in the last part, what may be lacking still is how many percentage of farmers are adopting those technologies? How many benefit is there? I think those kind of monitoring also we need to make there. And I really like to see the area which has been reclaimed and bring back to cultivation. For example, in Uzbekistan, every year we used to say 20,000 hectares goes under desertification. And there are several efforts ongoing, FAO, several CG centers, several universities, NGOs, INGOs. A lot of efforts are there. My question is, the reclaim and still leaching is the #1 practice to reclaim the saline soil. Except leaching, our innovations, which are the game changers and the areas under the salinity, how much we will see in 2050, and monitoring. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think, thank you very much for this question. I don't have answer for the second one. Of course, I can give some kind of indication for the first one based on what was presented here from this morning. Currently, if we say that, the surface soil salinity affected area is about 425 million hectares, as I mentioned before, and subsoil salinity affected area is about 833 million. And each year, about additional 1.5 million hectares are affected by salinity. So you can have some kind of indicative figure in next 25 plus years. So that's the, kind of indication we can make. This is a very simple indication, but actually it is so complex. It's not that easy. Because even if you look at the physical factors related to climate change, that also contributes a lot to water scarcity and other saline water intrusion, etc. Even permafrost, this is also not really tackled or not really objectively, there is no objective estimation of this issue in high latitude areas. Yeah. So giving a definite figure, what will happen by 2050 is extremely unlikely at this point of time. It's extremely hard to give that figure, but there is an indication which is very alarming. Drought frequency and intensity is increasing. Groundwater overexploitation is increasing. Seawater intrusion is also moving inland. For example, there are examples in Mekong River Delta, 90 kilometers inland, seawater intrusion. So that also causes salinity, and it stays for longer period of time because late onset and insufficient rainfall in the catchment areas. So there are unsustainable management practices, agronomic management practices. So the issues are very combined, and we can't have some kind of indicative figure, but it is very alarming. The figures are very alarming.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think based on what Dr. have said, the situation is getting worse and worse every year, based on the climate change, based on the drought that we are suffering every year, and so on and so forth. So I think there is a last question from Dr. Khalil. Yes, very short because we're running out of time.
Thank you, Professor Ridwan.
Yeah.
We, with the panelists, we saw many alternatives, strategies, with genomics and so on. But do you think that where to apply these strategies, we have a shortage concerning the knowledge on soil and water quality with respect to mapping and localization? Do we have to have more precise knowledge? I mean, at high scale like this, we can target these technologies and we can target all what you've talked about. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Khalil. Maybe Rashid, you could give a short answer so we can...
Yeah, very short. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone here would disagree in the room. That's where it all starts.
Yeah.
It starts in the soil, and better understanding and better characterization of soil is the most important, I would say, thing to do now, so that we can target the solutions. I think it has been said all across the panel. We cannot extrapolate. We cannot use magic bullets. We need to have a good understanding of the niche where technology would fit, and then we have to make sure that we find the tools and the pathways to make that impact happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark?
Mark. Yeah.
policymakers have to make decisions, and they have to make decisions based on data. And at the moment, over the last 50 years, we've made amazing scientific advances in our understanding and development of salt-tolerant plants, and there's been almost no delivery from that research. Almost none. A couple of exceptions: salt-tolerant rice, salt-tolerant wheat in India, salt-tolerant rice from Iri. Two really good examples, but that's almost it. And that's partly because when you're a big breeding company, or when you're a person having to make high-level decisions in the CG census, for example, you need to make cost-benefit analyses, and you have to make decisions around priorities. If we don't know how much salt-affected soil there is out there, and if we think it's a small number, even a modest number, then we're going to not make decisions to put resources in to the development of salt-tolerant crops. So you absolutely 100% have to know how much salt-affected soils, how much saline water is out there, how many farmers are losing how many dollars, so then you can make those decisions. So breeding companies and national breeding systems and international breeding systems can make good quality decisions. So there's no doubt we need to have that information.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Small addition.
Yes, please.
You ask the policymaker to take decision. I'm asking the researcher and the scientists to connect the community of scientists and researchers with the policymaker. We are working separately in our labs. And they have one more audition which we should talk and discuss more how to democratize access to water desalination for the small farmers and access to technology and digitalization. You are talking about the upscales and the large scales agriculture. We should think and focus the small farmers who have not finance to access to desalinated water, access to technologies, and access to digitalization as well.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think somebody said is the economics idiot summary a long time ago. But anyways, I think that this is probably could be a recommendation from this conference.
Okay.
I hope we will look at the economics, as Marcos was saying, look at the return on investment of technologies and start putting those tools in front of the policymakers.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Do you want, okay, last word?
Yes, I just want to thank again OCP for developing laboratories.
Yes.
Laboratories for testing of water quality and then also the soil. So that, as we said, to map out areas which are saline so that we can focus our attention.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very rich, very good session, and I'll thank you all. You could stay there, please. You can stay. Yeah, okay, you can continue, and I think there is some announcement by Dr.
Just a small one. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear experts and panelists, for for sharing your knowledge, your expertise with all of us. So now we'll go for the coffee break, but please before, let's take a picture together outside here on your left-hand side, where we'll have, by the way, the coffee break. So we go to take the picture together, and then we go to the coffee break for 15 minutes, and we come back at 12:30 for a second session. Yeah, maybe the panelists will take a photo. Yeah, sure. easy to start.
غادي نهضر. السلام عليكم، صباح الخير. هادو الناس دايرين لي كاسك ديالهم يديروا الترجمه. I am not able to participate, but because I lose my language since 30 years, but if I am going to care after myself and I'm going to touch my background and I remember. Then, اليوم على كل حال هذا اللقاء الأكاديمي ما يمكنش المحليين ما يكونوا مشاركين. فخور جدا إذا كانوا الأفارقة يشكروا الأو سي بي، نحن المحليين كذلك نشكروا لا فونداسيون او سي بي لأنها جابت هذو الخبراء العالميين كلهم من موقعه ويساعدونا، واليوم أصبح لقاء أكاديمي بهذا الشكل. أنا فخور جدا لأنه كاينين تعاونيات محلية اللي في الفيلم اللي شفناه كاين نتائج ولو محتشمة في بدايتها، ولكن بداية المشوار. عجبتني بزاف المداخلتين، ليس المداخلات كانوا رائعين. أنا ما نقيم الأساتذة. واحدة التسيير ديال الدكتور، شكرا له. الثانية لا ديسيزيون، يعني القطع مباشرة مع يعني فوكاليزو على الرؤية اللي قالت الأستاذة شرفات. ولكن اللي عجبني بزاف وهو أنت الدكتور رشيد كنت كاري، ودابا عندي لك طلب قدام الناس. إلا كانت لا فونداسيون كدير مجهود كبير إفريقيا ودوليا من ناحية البحث العلمي، أنا كان عندي لقاء مع السي طراب وكان عنده رؤية على أساس أنه باغي يدير فارم نموذجية في بكرة. هذه 5 سنين المشروع كان وجود. يعني اليوم أنت دكتور شكر الله في الجامعة ديال محمد السادس بعلاقاتكم مع العالم وفي تجاربكم، أنا كسياسي وكابن المنطقة وفي هذه المنطقة بالضبط كديروا فيها مجهود استثنائي وإمكانيات كبيرة كديرها لا فونداسيون متنوعة، ماشي وقفت هنا. سيبلو الايام كيدو، انت قلت كلمه قبيله قلت 2050 غدا، حتى حنا نقدروا نكونوا اليوم ولا انت ولا واحد اخر ولا واحدين اخرين ما غاديش يكونوا، ولكن نديروا لا بلاتفورم. سيبليو نموذج ديال الفلاحين الصغار ولا المتوسطين الناجح وتبعوه في 4 سنين خرجوا لنا مشروع معين هنا في العيون. هذا البيجو اللي ما كانش الناس قبل ما تكونوا انتم هنا. انا كنقول لكم انا اللي كنكونستاتي هذا الشيء لانه فرحتي ماشي بحالكم انتم. من قبل هذا الشيء كان خلق. اليوم ولات واحد الكارفور مونديال مع خبراء عالميين كيتكلموا على ازمات ديال العالم وتجارب ديال العالم كتناقش هنا في العيون. يعني انيشياتيف نحن باسم السكان انا شاكركم عليها كاملين وكنرحب بكم، ولكن مولي عاوتاني باش ما يكون لا باساج على اساس انه سي ان فوروم انترناسيونال، باسكو فوروم انترناسيونال انا الفو بينيفيسير بشي حاجه. فلو ذا انترناسيونال ريزوليوشن يعني لي ريكومونداسيون غادي يخرجوا والابليكاسيون ديالها ولا فيزيون، ذن المعهود في لا فونداسيون في لو سي بي افيك تو تيم، يعني تو ليكيب لا كريديبيليتي ديالكم. نتمنى لكم مقام جيد في العيون، وهذه هي لا فيزيون ديال المحليين. شكرا.
شكرا السيد الرئيس. شكرا. نمشيو ناخذ دابا
3.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming back, and sorry for the little delay. I guess to save time, I will give the floor very quickly to my colleague, Professor Hirish, to give you a short overview about, let's say, we can call it our first success story here at Asari UM6P Laayoune. So in collaboration with the Fusbukra Foundation, we have we started some work on few alternative crops, and blue panicum is one of them. And Si Aziz will tell you, will share with you some good results and promising performance of this forage crop in this environment under saline conditions. Si Aziz, go ahead.
Thank you. So I guess we can start. Yes. So good afternoon. And so in this keynote speech, I will present to you a success story about blue panicum. So blue panicum, which is a promising fodder crop that was actually introduced in the region here in 2016 within the first project that was funded by Fusbukra Foundation and implemented by ICBA and INRA and UM6P University. So that was actually the beginning of the introduction of blue panicum in this region. So here we're gonna present some outputs from the next phase project, or the second phase project of this program, which is also funded by Fusbukra Foundation and implemented by both UM6P University Asari and ICBA. So as you know, blue panicum, it's the guest of honor for this edition. So probably for the next editions, we're gonna choose some topics or some really promising crop that we are developing in the center. You know the problematic, so I'm not going to talk a lot about the problem of salinity in Morocco and especially in the region. So in Morocco, basically we have more than 50% of groundwater saline. So we have also, especially in the region of the south of Morocco, the Moroccan Sahara, we have harsh environment condition. we have all kind of challenges that you can imagine, actually. So we have the strong wind, we have salinity, we have drought, we have desertification. So it's really very, very hard to have really a green areas in that region. So we started by introducing several crops, several alternative crops, and the focus was on alternative crop, of course, forage crop, and some of the food crop as well, like quinoa. So forage crop, why forage crop? Because the most important activity in this region, actually, it's livestock. So there is a lot of farmers, smallholder farmers, that they are growing or breeding, animals like camel, like goat, sheep, etc. in the region. And actually, there is a huge demand, about feed in that region, which is mostly subsidized by the government. And probably later on in the panel discussion, we have the director of the agriculture in the panel who gonna talk about this issue. So taking into account all these challenges, so we need to meet the increasing forage demand in the region and the introduction and adoption of alternative crops. It could be a judicious solution and choice to overcome the challenges of salinity in the region. So the objective of this research program is to upscale alternative forage crop in the southern provinces of Morocco and also Morocco, and we have as well a vision on African countries to improve forage productivity and quality by adopting best practices, to evaluate the physiological responses of alternative forage to salinity, and also to test the effect, which is very important, the effect of these alternative crops on animal feeding, on animal health, on animal also performance and dairy production. So the research axis of this program, so we are focusing on soil amendment and fertilization. We are testing several soil amendments. So we are focusing also on planting methods. So we are trying to deliver a package actually for farmers, technical package that includes all the practices, from the soil, irrigation, you can see the intercropping, you can see mixture, harvest and post-harvest as well. So how we did it? So we started with several platforms. We have almost 8 platforms in the south. So we have a platform in the Bujdo region, in Biranzaran, in the extreme south. We have in Smara, we have in Tadkhest, here near to Laayoune, in Bukra, Fumulwad, Tarfaya, etc. So we have several platforms where we introduced this crop. And here again, we have been working in a participatory approach with farmers, which is very important to involve farmers from the beginning, from the design of the project, to the implementation of the trials, and to the training and capacity building. This is some photos about trial installation. And here we are presenting the first result, which are about the impact of organic amendment and NPK fertilization of blue panicum biomass production in different actually platforms. And as you can see in this platform, they have variable level of salinity. So we are talking about 4 decisimus here, which is a little bit low saline. We are going until 12 decisimus. This is the irrigation water salinity, and you can see the variability and the impact actually of soil amendment, which was really very positive to some extent. And you can see, for example, here that NPK, for example, fertilization with manure, with the application of compost is given good result in this platform. In Tarfaya, for example, the manure, which is produced locally by the farmers, by the animals, is supplied to the crop, and it's doing a great, performance. Also here and here again in other platforms. So that showcase to you and show to you, the impact, the positive effect of different organic amendment. So we are working on this because this is usual practices, but when you show them, when you experiment them and you show them the farmers, it's easily actually to get or to be adopted by farmers. We did also trials on the intercropping, blue panicum with other, which is a grass crop. with other legume crop. You know, the intercropping, it's a system, a cropping system that actually enhance the synergy between two species. Legume crop that fix the nitrogen in the air and fix it in the soil, and this will build like kind of synergy with the grass, for example. You can see the effect of combining blue panicum, for example, one line of blue panicum with 4 lines of alfalfa in this case, that give us the best performances in terms of yield. And if you look at the land equivalent ratio, it's almost 3.3, which means that if we produce, for example, blue panicum with intercropping with alfalfa, we will triple the productivity compared to sol cropping only of blue panicum. We summarized actually, so we did a lot of trials, so we choose only, the most relevant result. We didn't want to put a lot of details here, but this slide showed to you the improvement of yield, under different cropping practices. You can see, for example, the transplanting, it's also a good practices for blue panicum, compared to direct sowing. Because under salinity, the direct sowing, the seeds under direct sowing, they have difficulties in emergence. So transplanting on even multiplication by cutting, by the roots, you know that blue panicum, it's a rhizomic plant that develop rhizome, and it's easily actually to multiply by rhizome better than the direct sowing. You can see the percentage that really show the importance of this different, growing practices, especially on the productivity, on the forage yield of blue panicum. Here what we did also, so there was a lot of questions from farmers actually, and our research, they are aligned with, the expectation from farmers. So farmers, they keep asking us, for example, how should I cut, in which time I should cut, for example, the blue panicum. Just for your information, this crop is perennial. It's a grass, then we keep cutting. It's like alfalfa. So we keep cutting. We have several cuts during the year. So the question of this trial is to test different cutting time intervals. We tested 20, 40, 60, 80, up to 100 days, as a cutting time interval. And we found out, for example, here, that the best date or cutting time interval that give the highest performance or the highest forage yield is cutting it at 40 days. It's the same actually date that give us the best quality so far, or the best protein yield, because as you know, in forage, the most important is not the production or the yield, but the quality as well. Especially the protein yield. And if we look at 40 days, for example, we can find easily that the protein content is almost 17%. 17% for a grass crop, which is compared actually to alfalfa. That's really very promising species. You can see the differences in terms of cold season and warm season. So we had like several cuts during one closed year, one round year, and to see the different, interaction, to see the adaptation of this crop during the whole year. So we look at also at the partitioning of minerals. This is part of the physiology study, just to understand the mechanism of blue panicum to tolerate to salinity. It's very tolerant crop. We found out actually that the blue panicum, it accumulates more potassium in the shoots and more sodium in the roots, which is very important because it excludes sodium, which is a toxic ion, not only for the crop but also for the animals that will feed on this forage. To give you a clear, idea about the partitioning of potassium and sodium. Sodium is a toxic ion, and potassium is a very, adapted osmoticum, osmolyte that normally used in the physiology responses or in the adaptation to salinity. You can see easily that in the shoot part, we have more accumulation of potassium compared to sodium, and the opposite actually in the root part, we have more sodium, which is good. Why? Because when we cut, actually the sodium is kept in the root system. And in the shoot, we don't see the effect of salinity and of toxicity, for example. So which is good actually as a feed for animals. What we did also is that we tried to evaluate the impact of forage of blue panicum as a forage on animal. We choose dairy cows, and dairy cows, you know that they are sensitive, it's not like camel or goat, etc. So you need to have really a very balanced feed diet. So we choose 2 farms. The first farm, it's based on corn silage, which is the most common forage in the region. So we have a production of corn in the region, and also the farmers with the increased salinity, we have a drop in the corn production. This is why they are importing a lot of corn silage from the north. So we have the first farm that they have more balanced actually animal feed diet, and then we have the second farm, which is based on blue panicum, with of course soybean meal and compound feed, and you can see the differences between the diet. So look at what we did also is that we choose different group of cows, because the physiological stage of the cows is different. We have the early lactation, and we have the mid lactation and late lactation. This is the lactation cycle of the cows. So we choose different group from different farm to monitor actually the production of milk and to see the performances of this cows under the 2 different feeding diet. So this is the composition of the feeding diet in terms of dry biomass, for example, 21 for the corn silage based kilogram per day, and 16 kilogram per day like a feeding diet for 1 cow for example, the blue panicum based diet. So the result shows that actually there is a very good performance in terms of the blue panicum. You can see in the first group, which are the most performing cows, which are in the early lactation stage, there was actually no significant difference between the 2 diets. And in the group 2, we have quite slight difference between the 2 diets, with of course positive performances in terms of blue panicum. But in general, when we look at the average for the 3 groups, we see that the yield, in terms of milk production, is not different. It's like equal between the 2 feeding diet. So here it shows actually the importance of replacing the corn silage and the traditional forage, that they are costly and that they are also sensitive to salinity, with some salt tolerant forages like blue panicum in our case. So when we look at the milk transformation index, which is also a very important parameter, which mean actually how much dry biomass that we need to have 1 liter of milk. And you can see that the blue panicum based diet, we need probably 0.5 in the first group kilogram of biomass dry matter compared to 0.7. You can see actually the differences between the 2 systems, which indicate actually that in case of blue panicum, you don't need much of dry matter to produce 1 liter, which is actually consequently impact the cost. And if you look at the cost in the other graph, you can see the feeding cost. This is, we call it feeding cost. It's not like the whole production cost, but only the cost related to the feed. In the case of blue panicum, it's 2.2, and it's almost 2.5 in the second group. And you can see the big differences between the traditional feeding diet and the blue panicum feeding diet. So that's allow us actually to reduce the cost of the feeding in this farm. And actually, this is the farm that we're gonna visit this afternoon. So you're gonna see a big farm of blue panicum, and the guy and the farmers is trying to replace completely the corn silage that he's importing. That costs almost 5,000 euro a month. So he's trying now to produce it locally and to replace it with blue panicum. So what we did also as a part of this program about alternative crop, we always, conduct capacity building, farmer field school, which is very important. So we organize several, training sessions for farmers in several platforms where they get involved. Actually, we offering them hands-on training on how to cultivate, on how to multiply blue panicum, and how to harvest, etc. So the conclusions that we have actually in this research program, or the first part of this research program, so we find out that organic amendment and NPK fertilization enhance significantly the forage yield under salinity conditions. Also, the planting methods such as raised planting bed, cuttings using cutting for multiplication, transplantation are the most recommended actually to succeed the establishment of this forage crop. Intercropping also is a good practices that enhance significantly the productivity of forage crop, of blue panicum. And also cutting blue panicum, this is the most important, cutting blue panicum every 40 days was shown to be the best cutting time intervals that allow us actually to maximize the productivity and also to maximize the protein yield, which is very important in dairy production. Replacing corn silage with blue panicum has stabilized the milk production compared to the traditional corn silage feed, and also improved the milk transformation index and reduced, consequently, the milk production cost. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank also the whole team that contributed to this work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Si Aziz. I guess we can take few questions. Yeah, we need the mic.
I have two questions, because in your presentation there are not enough information about irrigation, the water balance and salt balance. For the quantity of water that you need for all irrigation cycle, how much exactly, and according to the salinity of the water, you'll go to introduce many tons of salt. And then have you and how you soil salinity management for the long term, for middle term, or you have a rotation, you change the place from area to area. The irrigation, volume, frequency, this is the problem, and soil salinity management, I think.
Thank you. So we have actually the data, but we choose to present only the most, relevant one. For irrigation, we are following the ATM method, and the KC, we have the KC, but almost it's like around 600 millimeter a year. It's a very drought tolerant as well crop. So sometimes in the desert, in the desert we are working with farmers, and sometimes we are following the practices of farmers. Sometimes they irrigate, sometimes they don't irrigate for even 10 days or 15 days, but the crop is there and it's resistant to this irrigation deficit. In terms of the salinity, how we manage the salinity, we have actually soil AC data of of 1 year, and we noticed that actually the salinity decreased. We need to confirm this result actually by let's see if we have more accumulation in the biomass, in the shoots, in the roots, etc. But what we use actually for irrigation or to manage salinity, we use the leaching. So we are like supplying more irrigation to leach the salts, and also we are doing rotation of different crops. So once we have more accumulation, So we change the crop, and then we supply also amendments that help also in the salinity management. Yeah.
Mustafa, and then we come back to Serashid. Can we give him the mic, please?
Well, thank you so much, Aziz. It's wonderful. It's really a great success story. I wonder if you could give us a little bit of history, whether you just introduced the blue panicum alone, a species, or you introduce several species, you screen them, and then this is the one that's really promising.
Exactly.
And so that's one. And second, are you considering probably introducing forage cactus as forest species of cactus? Probably that could be potentially also tried here in the region. You know that we are trying to get forage cactus introduced into Morocco. This would be for the first time. I think that would be probably another forage crop to consider here in the region. And thank you so much.
Thank you. So the first part of your question was about the history of introduction. So as I mentioned, the work started in early 2016 or 15 with the first phase of the project, where we introduced several crops. Actually, we introduced around 15 species, and like for example, Cisbania, quinoa, pear millet, sorghum, barley, triticale. So different species. One of the best actually performing species was blue panicum, quinoa, barley, and Cisbania and triticale. So we focused actually on blue panicum for different reasons. It's very salt tolerant, so it's not affected by salinity like other crop, and it's easy to handle because here the context of farmer, it's not like in the north. So we have smallholder farmers, and farming activity is not really a big, doesn't have a big extent in the region. So we are trying actually to, help farmers. And the choice of this crop, it's easy to handle because you don't need every time to prepare the soil, to do the sowing, we don't have a lot of practices. This is one. Second, it's perennial. So when it's established in the field, it stays there for even 10 years, and just you keep cutting it. The third factor, it's very resistant to insects and disease. Until now, actually, we didn't find any pest that attack this crop, except some aphids sometimes when we have some optimal condition for the development. But it's very resistant, and you're gonna see this by your in the visit. It's really very rustic crop. It's very rustic, so it adapts easily, and it was the only crop that was adapted or succeeded actually in the different platforms. That I show different platforms. Smara, it's different from here. It's another climate. Beranzaran, for example, is another climate. Bushdur as well. So, and only blue panicum that really succeeded to give us better performances in all these platforms.
I guess maybe the last question by Serashid, because we are running out of time. And if you have more questions, please reach out to Aziz after this, because we have taken time from the second panel discussion. So, yes.
Just want to add something to what Aziz said. Another characteristic of blue panicum resist to wind.
Yeah.
Very important in this region. So it's really something very important. The second, concerning cactus. Cactus is very sensitive to salinity. Cactus is not tolerant. It's drought tolerant, but it's salinity.
Serashid, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is really exciting results and good prospects. But my question is more about the scaling strategy. Do you have a strategy for scaling? And not only scaling in space, but also thinking about system sustainability, especially because you're introducing a new species which is not inherent. So, as you mentioned, for instance, there are no known pests or diseases, which is great. But, you've got to watch out for what might come later, because every time we introduce something in terms of ecosystem, we have to watch out. So, and finally, I have a recommendation somehow, like an advice. Would be good to have, if you're not planning to do the a long-term trial. You could do it on station, farm, whatever, so that you keep track of this over the years. Because many of the effects, especially when it comes to soil salinity, might not be showing up in 1 or 2 years, but over the time and showing, especially if you can have that crossed with a couple of management options, so that you can build up in terms of the expertise over the years.
Exactly.
Yeah, but brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. I probably will start with the last part about tracking the long-term effect of the whole system on the sustainability, especially issue. Yeah, we have actually a farm here. We're working with him since 2015, and we're tracking, the soil salinity, the productivity, etc. So this is in our agenda. And when you talk about the upscaling, so actually this is the second phase of upscaling. So first we started by only Fomelwad region where we had the trials, and then in the second stage we moved to 5 or 6 platforms. And now we will start soon a new project funded also by Fosbokra Foundation to support 16 cooperative. It means 16 location. And if we support this cooperative, basically we're gonna support maybe 80%. I don't have the right number, but 80% of the farmer in the region. And also we are developing other initiatives in the North region, in Sidi Abed, for example, which is now affected by salinity. We are also discussing with our other partners to outscaling even in other countries in Africa.
Great. And it's one, it's one germplasm source, or is it a diverse?
We introduced only one population. It was not a variety. So we brought it in the first project with the help of ICBA, and now we have only one source. But if you go to the field, we have no very good variability that we can take into account for a breeding program. And this is why actually we invited Mark Tesser to help us in this. We're gonna start with him a program on breeding of blue panicum. This is our vision now. It's to start a breeding program on blue panicum, since really it's a promising crop, and it will be probably the future of forage crop in the saline areas.
Aziz, thank you very much.
It took a lot of time. Huh?
Yes, thank you. So I guess quickly we'll give the floor to the next experts for the second panel discussion that will be chaired by our colleague, Professor Boulif, Mohamed Boulif, who is professor at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. And I guess he will invite the guest speakers and introduce them.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mufaddal. Of course, of course. So let me invite, yes, Madame Fatiha Shradi, our star. Okay. Professor Abdul Rasul Al-Umran, please. Over here. Professor Shisha. Professor Mohammed Hashisha. Okay. صديقي العزيز مسعد بهوي. سعيد بهوي مهني. شكرا. السيد عبد الرحمن العمري. I think that's about it. I have an easier task. Okay. I am very delighted to moderate this second panel. And before that, where is Mr. President? Anyway, I will start by saying, التسليم لرجال البلاد. For our English speakers, it's we must, as newcomers and visitors, we must plead respect to the local governance and community. You know that.
And yeah, my panel, I'm happy. I think there is a translation from English to Arabic, Arabic to French, and maybe English, Arabic, English, English, Arabic. I'm mixing up also French. Do we have Spanish too? Why is that? Okay. Global language. Global language. Okay. We can accept that. But do not minimize of our identities and our languages. Okay? So, of course, I'm happy also that this panel comprises policymakers, professors, scientists, professionals, and managers, on-field managers. And this makes it exciting, and we will have to hear from them how they see things on the field, okay? And I will, of course, I'm warning you or informing you that there will be 2 rounds of questions. We will select questions randomly in a first round so that you will get all chances to speak and voice your opinions and share your knowledge with us. Okay? And I will pick on the first speaker, Professor Mohamed Hashisha. He is a professor at the Institut National de la Recherche en Génie Rural, Eau et Forêt, INGREF, at the image of Lengref of France, right? At the image of Engref. Okay, we have been inspired by other institutions around the world, and that's what makes the wealth of the Maghreb. So I will ask you to introduce yourself and talk about your research and activities, especially related to the Biosaline agriculture in Tunisia. And I will start by this first question, asking you, what is the extent of the salinity problem in Tunisia? And what are the strategies deployed and implemented by the Tunisian government to tackle the salinity issue? So the floor is yours. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you just go ahead.
Thank you very much, and also I would like to thank the Professor Shukrallah, Aziz, and the other who invited me for 1 week before. I am a professor and also the director of the research lab, non-conventional water use. INGREF is under in Tunisia, we are in the University of Carthage, and under the 2 ministries, the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, and the Ministry of Agriculture. Then we are both pressure, agriculture, and I'm also concerned by different strategy about water, about wastewater reuse, and also I represent Tunisia and as a scientific advisor in new program Horizon Europe, and for the program food nutrition or natural resources, bioeconomy, and something like this. We have in our lab 15 researchers, 90% women, very limited.
You mean 90 or 19?
90.
90.
I am me and 2 other men and the other woman. So it's easy and difficult also to work with women. And we have a physiologist, we have also soil scientist, irrigation, and different aspects. We have a 4 program, because each 4 years we have an evaluation about the Commission Nationale d'Évaluation de la Recherche Scientifique, and we have the program about saline soil, saline water. The second about treated wastewater and sludge. The third about the problem between water and energy, and the third artificial recharge by non-conventional water. The question is about the problem of salinity extension in Tunisia and also the strategy. I think the problem of salinity in Tunisia is an old problem, but now we have a new dimension, maybe 50 years before, after the Second World. The problem is more and more concerned. And the problem of salinity, it's also, we have a book by Ibn al-Awwam, Al-Filah in Andalusia, and he proposed a different form of salinity management. It's not new, the problem of salinity, but now we have a new dimension of this salinity because we use more saline water, more brackish saline water. I think Tunisia is a successful country with saline agriculture, with brackish saline agriculture, and I'm not agree with the colleague if how we offer the map. We put salinity in the south, not exactly in the south. We have around 1.5 million hectares affected by salinity, but some of them are very saline. It's, we call that shot sabkha, and some different word about salinity. You know, we have a terminology in Arab, in our tradition, about salinity. Gara means high water logging. Sabkha is a form of salinity, and shot is a very big area affected by salinity. And also, I'm not agree to see that the situation is dramatic about salt effect. Yeah, if the man know how salinity manage salinity, he can have a good result. And also we reclaimed about 300,000 hectares from saline water, from salt affected soil. We in Tunisia we have no hectare lost by salinity. There are decrease of fertility sometimes because the drainage system network is affected. We improve and we have the new situation good, and the reclamation of the area was undertaken under drainage, but also according to the catch of water in the upstream, and that affect the hydrological context of the area, and you have the impact in the downstream and the decrease of the shallow saline water table. The problem of salinity, I think we need maybe to know global information about the extension of salinity, but we need national reference and maybe local. Because the situation, for example, in Tunisia, and saying the same in the Maghreb region, we have the north under rain, around 500 millimeters, that contribute to the leaching of salinity to improve the soil, to improve the fertility of the soil. In the middle, we have also rain, but less than that, about half. And we have situation in the south. And the rain is an important parameter that we must integrate it in our management of crop, because as a cyclic use of fresh water and saline water, it's natural, but it must be integrated in our approach to salinity management. The situation of resource water, and for me the problem is not. The most serious problem is not the salt-affected soil, the salinization of the aquifer. The problem, the salinization of the aquifer, is a very serious problem, and we can find the different solution for the soil affected soil, introduce some crop, rotation, organization, but the salinization of the aquifer that affect Tunisia, Morocco, different country is very, very important, and until now we didn't find a way to control for the groundwater. Groundwater management is very difficult. We can't control the surface water because we can stop water for the farmer. But for the groundwater, we have no solution until now. And this salinization for the long term, we have salt affected, salt by seawater, salt continental area by Sabkha, and also the transfer of the water. This is why for 8 billion cubic, billion cubic meter. And if we accept, I'm not accept the World Bank limit threshold about 1,000 cubic meter. I don't know how they propose this limit, because for me it not no sense. You need to add with the quality of the water, not the volume of the water. For example, if you compare the water that they have in Egypt with the Nile River, 0.4, better maybe than drink-water. And they have the problem of salinization because they have very intensive use of water. And this is integrated in the approach. Limited resources of water, high salinity of the water, 25% more than 3 grams of salt of liter. But we have something good. We have rain. And also the other information that also be introduced in the salt-affected soil for the map, the calcium. We have our soil rich in calcium carbonate or calcium sulfate. And the calcium in all the Maghreb region is a good parameter to reduce the problem of salinity. The sodium absorption ratio, it's around 7, 8 less maybe. And this is contribute to put salinity, reversible salinity. This is about water, climate, soil, rich also on calcium carbonate, water and soil. This is the general information about the extension of salinity that you said. The information also about the salt-affected soil in Berry County is old information because there are no activity about soil-affected soil mapping. We have some studies, local, parcel, perimeter, irrigated perimeter, but not in general information. It's cost expensive, and I think nobody want to put money to have just a salt-affected soil map. For the strategy, we will go to have in a few months a strategy of water. We call it Water 2050. The new is a new paradigm about governance that will go to propose most to implicate the association, the farmer, in the water management, because there are sometimes a gap between government, farmer, research, and we need to improve the relation between this partner. The second. Also, we will go to have in a few months a strategy of water reuse. Reuse non-conventional water. Also, the term of non-conventional water must be revised. In some countries, they say it's not the same means of the term in different countries. And non-conventional water means something in each country is another means. Not exactly. We have a big program for treated wastewater, but the use of treated wastewater in Tunisia is restrictive use. I have some discussion with some colleagues in Morocco. It's forbidden, for example, to irrigated vegetable. Completely forbidden, because also the community, it's very high in the perception of the community, and also as we export our product to Europe, and Europe is very, very restrictive about the use of the treated wastewater. We use it for olive tree, for fruit tree, and but there are some things that we need to resolve. Maybe we began to the tertiary treatment, but it's not enough. The other strategy, they also support research and support research. The research, we have money finance from the ministry, but also from I am with some partner from Morocco in Mediterranean project Prima or something like that. Now in some European bilateral or multilateral collaboration. I think maybe we have enough information. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You have. Thank you for sharing your insights about salinization in Tunisia, and even with several other aspects related to the use of water and the challenges and the threats that are weighing on the water resources in the Maghreb. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's go to the second panelist, and I will call on Professor Abdul Rasul Al Umran. And Professor Abdul Rasul is an expert, a professor in soil science, and he comes to us from King Saud University in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And we are delighted that you are here with us to share with us your views. And my question is, as Saudi Arabia is importing forages, feeds for animals, what is the prospect of having a national policy to produce forage crops in the kingdom?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
First of all, I would like, is it
yeah, that's it. It works.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for their invitation. This is for the second forum also, or second time that I'm here in Laayoune. I really enjoyed that. I'll just give a brief, if you allowed me,
of course,
of my work and where I get some experience. I went to UC Davis to get my master's degree in water science. And then I moved to Oregon State University and get my PhD in soil science. So I have the work on both soil and water. My work concentrated in the last, let's say, a few years. I'm not going to say how many years, but on how to conserve water and also improve the soil in many terms. In terms of your questions on coming from Saudi Arabia and what is the potential of growing forage or as in Saudi Arabia, I think as most of the people talk today in the early morning about the problems of most of the arid and semi-arid regions on salinity, shortage of water, or problem of climate change, depletion of the aquifers. We are all facing these problems, basically. I will say Saudi Arabia is part of, that you are really getting some sort of solutions for the salinity problems or the water depletions of the aquifers, which is really bad in some areas. I will start off answering your question, if there is an alternative. Yes, we have now in the kingdom, they try to use the sewage treated water that we really have amount of that, around at least 5 million cubic meter per day. Unfortunately, for the time being, until last year, they are using less than 1 million cubic meter of that, which is less than 20%. And the rest of that is going to either the sea or to the desert in some cases. Lately, I think they are really thinking seriously if we have this water, which is a really good water, because we have a third treated or treasury treatment for the sewage treated water. And they are really thinking of reuse all of that, even sometimes, and which has happened, that they transport some of that water from the big cities to the rear area or to the farming, like from Al-Khobar in the eastern province to Al-Hufuf. They transfer more than 200,000 cubic meter per day, which is to the area, to the Al-Hassa oasis we have. And they are using that water for many crops. They are not really restricted to certain, but mainly date palms and alfalfa and forage. So they want to raise the potential of the using sewage treated water, which will help on reducing the amount of water that will deplete or drawn from the aquifers, especially in the central region. This is mainly what potential is coming, and I think they have doing really a good job on reusing that water with a great potential of having a forage crop. As I'd like to mention here also that Saudi Arabia is sufficient on dairy business or dairy farming, especially the liquid milk and the products of that, and even they transport it to export it to other countries like the Gulf, the GCC countries, and they want to sustain that. Problem is the forage. So if you have unconventional water that is ready to use, I think the potential of sustaining that is really great. Of having the forage crops in the coming future, rather than importing that for the dairy business. Yes.
Thank you. I'm happy to learn that. Happy to learn that Saudi Arabia is self-sufficient in milk, and you are even contributing to the food security in milk to other countries. And thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing with us the latest information about this problem. So the next speaker is our lady, Madame Fatiha Sharadi, and she is the Vice President of the President of OCP to the, yes, of course, to the local market, farming development, OCP group, Morocco. And I must say that she's the lady that has revolutionized the extension process to the farmers, okay? And I seize this opportunity to salute you very well. As someone who works closely to the farmers, I've been going around in farmer field schools, and I enjoy also listening to your radio programs in different languages, Arabic, French, Tamazight. I appreciate also the Tamazight, and that's, I congratulate you for this effort. And to me, if I have to say something, she's almost substituting to the national extension programs. So she's taking lots of grounds. I know that she's candid, she will not be saying so, but I wanted to clear that up. And of course, we're happy to see you all here as host of our biggest enterprise, OCP, and its educational institution, Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. So, if you have troubles pronouncing UM6P, UM6P, some people I have heard P6. No, it's Mohammed VI Polytechnic University. Okay, that's so. Madame Fatiha Sharadi, our star, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
And
Dr.
before giving you the, yeah. So that's the price of being a star. And you get also some questions. And let me direct my question as follows. You know, you are now the head of Al-Mutmir program or Al-Mutmir initiative. And you are working intensively on supporting farmers, our farmers. We thank you for that. I have said something about that. Especially to improve their productivity. And by improving their productivity, you improve also their livelihood. And we thank you for that. Could you please brief us about the impact of Al-Mutmir so far on crop productivity, but I would say not only on crop productivity, but on the well-being of the farmers in Morocco as a whole. Not only crop productivity. We know that you have been doing several beneficial actions in the benefit of our farmers and the rural world. Please, the floor of yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Boulif. I would like to thank you for the warm words toward OCP and toward the team handling this, I'll say, this journey, and we are feeling blessed to be here and to have the support of the company making things real. So we are maybe the visible part of the journey, but by the end of the day, this is the journey of a company, of an ecosystem trying to do his best within a country, and we are home. So first of all, I would like to thank you for organizing such important event and for giving us the opportunity to engage in such relevant discussion with eminent professors and experts. Coming to my background, an engineer telecom from Morocco, I have had the chance to reach a prestigious university locally and outside, like Point Chaussee, MIT, and so on. But by the end of the day, I'm a Moroccan citizen which has had the chance to meet real people willing to solve real challenges and deploying not only means, putting the heart on that. And this is about my story with OCP and the management of OCP and UM6P University. So, brief introduction or presentation about OCP for those. I'm glad to meet many foreign people joining us. OCP is a Moroccan company. We are custodian of the largest phosphate reserve of the world, 70%, which make us naturally the first producer and exporter of raw phosphate, of phosphoric acid, and of phosphate-based fertilizer. But as a custodian and responsible company, we are fully engaged at the international level to support food systems through adapted business models. And this is what all Al-Mutmir, which is Morocco, it's a showcase about our ambitions for all farmers around the world. Al-Mutmir means fruitful. What is inside Al-Mutmir? Al-Mutmir is a business farming development with full endowment and financial support of OCP, not to sell the pea, but to make sure that each P205 wanna be used the best way to meet our generation challenges and coming challenges, as it has been highlighted several times about Dr. Savage oversight, looking for the future. This is being responsible. And it's the heartbeat of this program is young people, a dedicated team of almost 100 agronomists, engineers, fixed with rural community, and delivering a tailor-made, cutting-edge technologies door to door. And I have heard during the first session many sentences like music to my ears. We don't need rocket science for Africa. We should be there. When I say cutting edge, we're using AI, satellite imagery, prediction models, and so on, smart farming, but adapted to local needs. This is extremely important. And we are working both on how to use fertilizer, door to door with farmers, depending on region and so on, and we are working with farmers on how to adopt best practices. So we are delivering a bunch of services for free. It doesn't mean that it's not profitable for the company. We are doing well by doing good, and we are not ashamed of it. We are proud of it. We're a business company. We are building innovative business model to stimulate the consumption, but with regards to soil health, to water use efficiency, to carbon sequestration, to food sovereignty, I'm coming back to this, and making sure, as it has been mentioned by Dr. Boulif, that farmers will live with dignity from farming. Farming is not a social action or what we do when we don't have something else to do. Farming is a business. And I heard in the first session the business use case. This is key for us. And we are an open platform. We remain mobilized and engaged to receive and welcome innovation. And please, this is a call for all experts here. We are working directly with almost 50,000 farmers because our engineers, they are working hand in hand physically with them. At the same time, we are leveraging technology to reach others. We have an application called Atma that you can download in both stores, used by 400,000 farmers. In Morocco, we have 1.5 million farms. Okay, for 8.7 million hectares of arable land. And when it comes to salinity, it's almost 500,000. It means this is a reality, but I see it personally as an opportunity. When it comes to food sovereignty, this is an alternative. If we have reliable and proven variety or business model or system cropping or wherever it takes. And it has been mentioned this morning, system dynamic thinking. Yes, it's not about the technology, it's about an overall. So what we are delivering in Morocco, soil analysis for free, almost 50,000 soil analysis with 10 mobile laboratories. Demonstration platform, or what we call, or what experts will call the on-farm experimentation. We are launching at least 10,000 for cereals, pulses, veggies, and so on. Whenever a crop is economically sensitive in a region, we are in that region. We are present in 45 provinces. Where farming is, we are. Demonstration platform, zero tillage, and so on. And you have mentioned impact on productivity. Yes, we can assure you that what we do, we don't do it by ourselves. We are proud to have the endowment and the scientific support of UM6P, but not only, because UM6P is aggregating the ecosystem on scientific institutions, INRA, IAV, and ENA. And we are proud to say that yes, we are delivering based on data and signature of experts. There is a room for enhancement in terms of yield for cereals when it comes to food sovereignty, on pulses, on olives, and even on veggies, even within, as it has been highlighted by Dr. Savage this morning, severe season. And we will be more than glad to share this data with the economic community. But we as a first priority, and I've seen the Blue Panic, and it's for sure wanna be the next project, not only in the region, but this is something we can spread and wanna stop here. Thank you, Dr. Boulif.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing with us your views, and especially your heart feelings for the Moroccan agriculture, for the farmers, and for the citizens. And no wonder you have been nominated among the Women of the Year in Morocco, some of whom are here also in this room. Let's applaud them all. Yes. والآن سوف أتوجه إلى صديقي الجديد، صديقي العزيز الجديد، السيد سعيد بهوي، الذي خاطبني صباح اليوم بلغة الضاد. I said good morning. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته على الدوام. So I was very pleased with his greetings in Arabic. I was also told that he masters the Spanish language and maybe other languages. But I will ask him, if you allow me, I will ask my questions in Arabic to honor his wish, because he wants to be talked to in Arabic. So, السيد سعيد بهوي المحترم، رائد في تعاونية، وسؤالي التالي هو: كتعاونية رائدة في إنتاج الحليب في الأقاليم الجنوبية العزيزة علينا جميعا، ما هو تأثير الملوحة على إنتاجية الأعلاف بصفة عامة؟ وما هي تداعيات هذه المشكلة على تكلفة إنتاج الحليب في المناطق الجافة؟ نريد أن نعرف، يعني أن نستنفع من آرائكم وخبرتكم. أهلا وسهلا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله للجميع. أنا مصر بوجودي هناك لأرى هذه الوجوه وهذه الناس اللي باحثين في هذا الميدان اللي هو ميدان مهم للبشرية ككل، وفرحان لي أن هذا اللقاء جاء في منطقة اللي أنا زايد فيها وخالق فيها، وهذا شرف كبير. ونطلب الله ذوك الناس اللي ظهروا على هذا اللقاء وعلى هذا المجتمع اللي احنا فيه، يعطيهم الله ذاك الشيء اللي في قلوبهم ونواياهم، لأن هذا من المستقبليات. هذا نحن اليوم نحفر للمستقبل، لأن المستقبل الملح غادي يكون أكثر، لأن هو مينيرو يتكاثر راسه. ثانيا اللي هو جا مستحيل، ولي نقول لكم نكتة والله، هي عبارة عن يوم الأمس الملح كان صالير، كان راتب، واليوم عاد مشكل، لأن لا باش إنسان ما يقولش أنا راني ولكن الغد الله أعلم. جواب على سؤالك الأستاذ، وهو نحن كتعاونية في هذه الأقاليم الجنوبية، هذه الأقاليم الجنوبية هي أقاليم جافة، فهمت، مياه قليلة ومع قليلة مالحة والتربة مالحة، ولكن خالق شيء كي يتحدى هذه المسائل، وهي الإرادة. نحن كافحنا، مازلنا شبان صغار في هذا الميدان، وعندنا كسب خلاه النوايا لنا، ونحن خدامين في هذه المنطقة بذاك الشيء اللي عطانا الله. التكلفة ديال الحليب كتجي تكلفة كتكون قاصحة على الفلاح، فهمت، وقاصحة تكلفة من ناحيتاش. عندك هون احنا منطقة صحراوية، احنا عندنا ما هو الملح هو المشكل الوحيد، عندنا تصحر، عندنا الجفاف، قلة الأمطار هي اللي كتورث زيادة في الملوحة. الآن نحنايا كتعاونية التكلفة ديال الحليب نحن اللي كننتجوا في هذه المنطقة الحمد لله وصلنا واحد الكمية اللي هي نحن كنفتخروا بها. وصلنا واحد 35 طن إلى 40 طن يوميا في هذه الأقاليم الجنوبية. راه نحن بالنسبة حنا رانا لحقنا لوطوب ديالنا من ناحية عنا، رانا وصلنا لواحد الإنتاج، واحد لا مويان على كل ما هي بقرة إنتاج يعادل واحد لا مويان ناسيونال اللي هي لا بأس بها من 25 إلى 30 لتر للبقرة حلو في اليوم. هذا نحن كيفرحنا وكيشجعنا باش ما نرجعوا للور. فهمت؟ واخا التكلفه كتجينا، واخا نحن الارباح ديالنا ماشي الربح نحن نربحوا نحن بحال ذاك الفلاح اللي في الشمال اللي حداه لونسيلاج يشريه رخيص، حداه التبن يشريه رخيص، ما عندوش تكلفه الترونسبور، ما عنده كذا. ولكن كما قلت لك نحن عندنا واحد لا فولونتار، عندنا واحد العزيمه باش نستمروا في هذا سميتو. وهذا هو المشكل اللي عندنا احنا مطروح في هذه المنطقه، ولا ينطرح في المناطق كامله مع المستقبل، لانها شيء تصحر ماشي طالع من الجنوب للشمال. هذا هو.
شكرا جزيلا. Let me ask my friend Arjan de Vos, have you gotten the essence of the message of the leader of the cooperative of milk production in the south? Was the translation good? I'm not questioning, I'm just probing. That's my profession as a teacher. Was it good? So I do not have to explain anymore. And thank you very much. Muchas gracias. شكرا جزيلا على إدلائكم برأيكم وبتجربتكم الغالية. وبلدنا المغرب العزيز محتاج لفلاحين منخرطين تمام الانخراط في سلاسل الإنتاج لضمان الأمن الغذائي لبلدنا العزيز، ولم لا لأصدقائنا وللسوق المحلية والعالمية. Why not؟ نعم سيدي.
هذا اللي انتم فيه ضريكة اياه هم دعوات نحن نطلب الله يسخركم انتم وانا خدامين نحن يتعبوا النتيجه وتعطوها نحن باش نعيشوا بها.
شكرا. شوف سيدي، احنا الباحثين رحنا خدام الفلاحين والفلاحات وخدام الوطن بصفة عامة. شكرا. I think we have one last speaker of our panel, and that's Mr. Abdurrahman Al-Amri, and he's the regional director of agriculture in this region. As you know, Morocco entails 12 administrative regions, including the southern provinces, the southern region, and one of them is Saqia Al-Hamra, where we are today. And I will ask him to give us his... Okay, I'll ask my question in Arabic. Yeah? You can respond in French if you wish, or in Spanish, or in Tamazight, provided that the interpreters can work up your message. Sir Abdurrahman, I'm proud also to say that Sir Abdurrahman Al-Amri is an alumnus of the School of Agriculture in Meknes, where I have worked 42 years. Okay? And I have moved to Mohammed VI Polytechnic University since 2019 to contribute to curricula developments and pedagogical engineering in the agricultural sector. So, Sir Abdurrahman, ما هو دور وزارة الفلاحة لمواجهة مشكل الملوحة في المناطق الجنوبية، وما هي الآليات المعتمدة من طرف الدولة؟
شكرا أستاذ بوليف. أولا بعدا نبغي نشكرك كأستاذ كمدير كباحث لما أعطيته لهذا الميدان ديال الفلاحة ولما أعطيته لنا كطلبة وكبحث اللي خدمنا به مورا الخدمة ديالنا. شكرا جزيلا لك. ثانيا يعني كما جاء على لسان السي مسعيد كواحد من المهنيين على مستوى جهة العيون الساقية الحمراء، وكتعرفوا أن هذه النقطة نبغي أولا يعني نحطها في إطار الاستراتيجية الجديدة للجيل الأخضر وفي المحاور ديالها اللي كتعلق بكل ركيزة، لأن هكذا كنخدموا يعني أي حاجة كنخدموها بحال هكا باش كل حاجة نحطوها في المحور ديالها وكيفاش غادي نخدموا عليها. فكما كتعرفوا الاستراتيجية الجديدة للجيل الأخضر كتعتمد على ركيزتين أساسيتين. الركيزة الأولى وهي إعطاء الأولوية للعنصر البشري، ثم الركيزة الثانية ومواصلة الدينامية الفلاحية التي خلقها مخطط المغرب الأخضر من خلال تنمية بطبيعة الحال السلاسل الفلاحية. فهذه النقطة بالضبط ديال الزراعة البديلة سنجدها في مجموعة من المحاور اللي كتعلق بالمحور الأول ديال تنمية ولا إعطاء الأولوية للعنصر البشري، كتعلق بالخصوص بالمواكبة ديال الفلاحين من طرف مستشارين فلاحيين، من طرف التكوين، من طرف طبيعة الحال يعني مجموعة ديال التجارب وتبادل كذلك الخبرات مع الفلاحين من خلال يعني التجارب أخرى على المستوى الوطني. غنلقاوها كذلك من خلال خلق المقاولات الشباب في يعني خلق مقاولين شباب فلاحيين على مستوى الجهة اللي يقدروا يقدموا لنا واحد المجموعة المقاولات اللي غتخدم مع الفلاحين من خلال خدمات اللي يقدموهم. مواكبة كذلك من طرف القطاع الخاص، بالإضافة إلى خلق يعني ضيعات فلاحية اللي تقدر تخدم في هذا الميدان هذا. كذلك غنلقاوها فيما يتعلق بالركيزة الثانية في البحث العلمي والابتكار. وهنا يعني نبغي نوه بهذه المجموعة ديال الباحثين اللي اليوم عطاونا واحد المجموعة ديال النتائج اللي وصلنا لها واللي خصنا اليوم ندوزو باش نحطوها في الميدان من خلال يعني الاستراتيجيه ديالنا والتنزيل ديالها على المستوى الجهوي. كذلك غنلقاوها في المحور الخاص باستدامه القطاع الفلاحي وصموده، وهو ما اكد عليه من خلال الازمه ديال كوفيد وعلاقته بالامن الغذائي. وهنا يعني يجب ادخال هذه السلسله ديال الزراعات البديله من اجل خلق يعني واحد المجموعه ديال السلاسل الفلاحيه جديده واللي تقدر كذلك توفر لنا الكلاء للسلاسل الحيوانيه. ف دونك حطينا تقريبا الموضوع في اطار هذه الاستراتيجيه الجديده. نبغي نعطي فقط بعض المؤشرات وبعض الاليات كذلك اللي كنخدموا عليهم من خلال يعني الاستراتيجيه ديال الوزاره. فجهه العيون الساقيه الحمراء كما كتعرفوا كتمتاز بمناخ جاف كما جاء على لسان السي مسعيد. يعني المعدل ديال التساقطات المطريه اللي كنسجلوا ما كيتعداش 50 ملم في السنه. كذلك كاين توالي سنوات الجفاف، عجز مائي من خلال الموارد المائيه السطحيه اللي عندنا فقط تقريبا واد الساقية الحمراء اللي كيسجل سيالا مره كل 4 إلى 5 سنوات. الفرشه السطحيه كذلك شبه منعدمه ما عدا في ملواد وبعض الجيوب المائيه اللي كاينه على مستوى ما يسمى بالكرارات، هما لي ديبريسيون ديال اللي كيكونوا كتكون فيهم تربه مزيانه وكيكون فيه يعني تجميع ديال مياه الامطار. ما عدا هذا كاين كذلك فرشه مائيه عميقه، وهذه الفرشه المائيه العميقه كتراوح العمق ديالها ما بين 300 متر حتى ل 1800 متر بدرجات حراره عاليه، درجه ملوحه كتروح ما بين 2 غرام حتى ل 10 غرام. وهنا يعني كاين يعني مجموعه ديال الخصائص اللي كتخص الجهه بالاضافه الى الشساعه ديال جهه العيون الساقيه الحمراء اللي كتمتد على 14 مليون ديال الهكتار، فيها 9 مليون ديال الهكتار ديال المراعي اللي كتمتاز بالتجديد ديال الغطاء النباتي ديالها خلال السنوات الماطره. ولكن كذلك عندنا قله المساحه الصالحه للزراعه اللي ما كتعداش 136 الف هكتار. امام هذا الوضع كامل التوجه الاستراتيجي ديال وزاره الفلاحه على مستوى الجهه هو الانتاج الحيواني بالخصوص عبر مجموعه ديال بطبيعه الحال قطع ديال الماشيه اللي كتستغل على مستوى الجهه. بالنسبه للتوجه يعني في هذه القضيه ديال الزراعات البديله، فبالخصوص من اجل انتاج كلاء لفائده هذه الماشيه عبر واحد المجموعه ديال الاليات اللي حطتها وزاره الفلاحه، اللي فيها اولا الاستثمار المباشر ديال وزاره الفلاحه عبر خلق محيطات سقويه. اليوم وصلنا في هذا المحور هذا 335 هكتار اللي هي اون كرياسيون، كاينه اللي ديجا انتهت يعني من التجهيز الفلاحي ديالها، التجهيز الهيدروفلاحي، وكاينه اللي واحد 250 هكتار بشراكه مع تعاونيه الساقيه الحمراء اللي في طور الانجاز. عندنا كذلك الدعم اللي كيعطيه صندوق التنميه الفلاحيه فقط كمؤشر، يعني من خلال مخطط المريء الاخضر، وكذلك يعني اللي غنستمر ان شاء الله خلال هذه الاستراتيجيه الجديده. جهزنا ما يفوق 400 هكتار من خلال صندوق التنميه الفلاحيه بواحد المبلغ استثماري اجمالي ديال 237 مليون ديال الدرهم، اللي كان فيه الدعم ديال الدوله 50 مليون ديال الدرهم و187 مليون ديال الدرهم من الخاص. اي واحد درهم من الدعم اجينيري واحد الانفستيسمون تقريبا من الخاص ديال 3.3 ديال الدرهم. دونك من خلال هذا المحور كذلك نقدروا نخدموا على هذه الزراعات البديله باش نقدروا نزيدوا بها القدام. كذلك كاين المشاريع ديال الري ديال مديريه الري واعاده المجال الفلاحي، اللي من خلالها اليوم كننجزوا المشروع ديال الجريفيه على واحد المساحه ديال 1000 هكتار. الشطر الاول انتهينا من التجهيز ديالو على 250 هكتار، وعندنا يعني ان غرون بوتونسييل باش نقدروا نوسعوا على 9600 هكتار. والخاصيه اللي كاينه تما هي واحد التربه اللي هي جيده جدا، وكذلك توفر واحد المياه جوفيه بطبيعه الحال، ولكن بكميات وافره وبواحد الديبي اللي هو طالع، وواحد لو طود سالينيتي ديال 3 غرام اللي نقدروا زعما نديفلوبو في هذه الزراعه البديله. وشكرا.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing with us your achievements and sharing with us the government will to invest more to ensure food security for the citizens of these southern provinces. And I understand that the organizers, he is pushing me. You have been saved. They told me to cut the program because it's late and we must move on to other things. And I will let my dear colleague, Professor Lamfaddal, carry on for the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Siboulif. Personally, I would love to continue this listening to you because you are in the field. You are the ones who really can translate what researchers are doing in their labs. But as Siboulif said, we are running out of time. So we apologize for that. We had a second round of questions that was ready, but maybe next time we can discuss it, or we can discuss it over lunch. So thank you all. Thank you for your participation. Maybe just small changes in the program. So we were supposed to have the field visit and then we come back to the lab visit. We will switch. So after lunch, we will go quickly to a short lab visits and then we go to the field. And from there, you can go to the hotel directly. Unless if someone of you would like to come back to pick up their cards because we'll use the bus. The bus can come back here as needed. So let's go. You are invited for lunch. Enjoy it. And then we go for lab visits afterwards. Just we'll take picture with you, please, for the panelists. Siboulif, a picture with panelists, please.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, great pleasure.
Can you accept me with you?
Yes, of course.
الله يخليكم اللي عنده ذاك الكاسك ديال الترجمه الى حيت انتهى الترجمه هذا الصباح ردوه عافاك السيد. For the people online, I don't know if we still have people online, so please, our appointment is tomorrow morning, I guess at 9 o'clock a.m.